Welcome to my video series of cell signaling and communication. In this video series, I would describe the importance of intracellular and intercellular communication, the types of receptor, the detailed signaling mechanisms, and how cell signaling pathways control overall physiology. So if you haven't yet subscribed my channel, please hit that subscribe button and don't forget to like. We don't like to stay in isolation. Rather, we prefer to talk to each other and make new friends and build new networks. Just like us, cells don't like to stay in isolation. They together form tissues, and these tissue organizations form several organs. Like here, the hepatic cells form hepatic tissue, which ultimately give rise to liver. Not only organ system need to interact with one another in order to form a large system known as organ systems. So organ systems should connect each other and thereby controlling the complex cellular physiology. Now, we like to stay connected with each other and communicate with our friends and families, and we do that via cell phone, mobile, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, etc. But have you ever thought there are so many cell types in our body? How do they communicate to each other? Have you ever thought how our brain cells communicate with the muscle cells and tell them to contract? Have you ever wondered that how our brain cells tell the liver cells to secrete digestive enzymes and hormones which are important for digestion? So if you're thinking about this, let me tell you that there are several communication modes used by the cells in our body. One type of long-range communication is endocrine communication, where the secreted messenger or the secreted signal is traversing a long way via the bloodstream and reaching its target cell, where it is recepted by the receptors on its cell surface. Second type of short distance signaling is known as paracrine signaling, where the signaling molecules are working in a shorter range. Whereas there are other signaling modes known as autocrine signaling, which acts upon the cell itself. Now, all these signaling paradigms and cellular signaling keeps us a healthy organism and keeps all our organ system going. But if it doesn't happen, so we would die. So which is pathetic. Now let's say we have ingested a tasty donut. As a result, our blood glucose level would increase. As you can predict that our pancreas would secrete insulin to lower the blood glucose level. But wait a minute, how does our pancreas knows that the blood glucose level has increased? Who had told the pancreas cell that our blood glucose level has increased? All these details or all these mechanistic views could be understood in light of cell signaling. Now, if you're thinking about all of these things stated in the video, let me tell you, while you are watching the video, you're getting visual and auditory cues which are transformed into electrical signals inside the neurons of your brain, which is incredible. How your sensory modalities is giving rise to electrical impulses, and that is decoded by the brain. But indeed, these signals are decoded by the brain, and brain is responsive to all these signals and giving rise to output signals which controls all our organ system together, and that's how our body is functioning. So that's why we need to understand the basics of cell signaling. Cell signaling starts with a signaling molecule. Signaling molecules is recepted by a receptor on the cell surface or maybe sometimes inside the cells. And then the signal generated by this signal and receptor interaction would be relayed downstream by a specific molecule or by a relay of molecules, which would ultimately give rise to a cellular level response. That's why understanding how these receptors are interacting with the ligand, how the ligand is giving rise to receptors conformational change, how the receptor is internal part of the receptor is interacting with several other signaling molecules to give rise to cellular processes is very important. Now, the whole complexity is dependent upon different type of receptor. There are different type of receptors and different type of choices present for the cell by which it can convey its message to other cell, or it can convey its message to the deep in the nucleus. And the ligands that these receptors interact with are very different. Not only the ligands, the intermediate players, the downstream effectors, all are very different, together which makes a huge complexity. Very often it has been seen the intermediate players are not isolated. They are also interacting between each other, making a huge network. And this is how cross-talking between signaling pathways are happening, which give rise to complexity in cellular physiology. And all these things account for huge complexity inside the cell. And as if cell is a huge factory where several molecules, several downstream molecules are workers of a big factory, which are working with a synchrony, communicating with each other, giving rise to complex cellular processes. That's why learning about cell signaling and how cell signaling can affect human physiology is very important aspect. So if you like my video, give it a quick thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and share among with your friends and help me to grow. Thank you.